Good morning, everyone. It's Spirit Sessions, A View of the Light, and we are here today on my long weekend, which is Victoria long weekend in Canada. I think we're the only place that celebrate this weekend, but you know, Canadians love their long weekends. What can we say? And it's our gardening weekend. That's usually in Ontario, where I live, where all the frost stops. So everybody puts in their garden at this time of year. So I hope everyone's doing well, and I hope you can join us now and share this out, please. Share this out to your friends and everyone else. We have a super special guest, a returning guest that we just are in awe of, I have to say. And she always kind of intimidates me, and I'm not quite sure why, because I think she's just so powerful.
It's just
Yes, it's a power that she has. So, Teresa, would you introduce our guest today?
Oh, I'm so excited too. Thank you, Rhonda and Bex, and thank you, Laura, for coming. Like Chris here, there's so many of us, Tyler, so many of us here, love Laura. So while we're all here and we're all coming in on YouTube and on Facebook, let's all take a deep breath right now. Because so much of the time we stop the breathing while we're taking care of everything. And I want us to relax, because the woman that we are bringing here today, I admire so much. She, to me, is the epitome of strength, the epitome of love, as well as compassion and teaching and reaching out. By my definitions, Laura, you're a goddess. You know, just the way you are and the way you do things and the way when things happen, the way you handle them is so much to me. And so Laura Eisenhower is like an international speaker. She does this really cool stuff with astrology that I've seen her talk about and stuff. And there's just so much to this woman. And so, Laura, welcome to our show for the second time.
Thank you so much, Teresa. Thank you, Rhonda. Thank you, Bex. It's so wonderful to be here. Thanks for having me back. And thank you for that intro. It really touched my heart. Gosh.
So one of the things that I'm feeling that I really want to start on today is I've seen you talking about that there's so much separation among us. And I mean, and that's a part of the battle that's pulling us all apart. And even among all of us who feel like we're in the same area and field, but we're pulling each other apart. Now suddenly it's the vegans against the this and the that. And it's like, no. This is the time to come together in our heart. And I wonder if you could share with us some of the important points that you have on this.
Words are so incredibly powerful. Words can create expansion and healing, or words can really hurt and damage people and create a lot of separation. I mean, we can create so much of our reality through the words we choose to speak and the intention we hold behind the words we speak. And attacking somebody, I mean, that just doesn't work. So I think a lot of them are trolls, because anybody in their right mind wouldn't just go after somebody without knowing what their habits even are or what kind of food they eat. And
exactly.
So it's very interesting, because I did have a bunch of vegans coming after me, but it's like they don't even know what I eat. And I actually was very pioneering in the health food industry way back in the early 90s. And it's like, really, there's no questions. There's no like asking. There's no inspiration behind it. So say I was somebody that was eating like the worst food from the grocery store. You know, is that an approach for somebody who actually might benefit from that information, the way that this person is going about it? So I had to distance myself. I'm like, well, this has nothing to do with me. But if this is their approach, it absolutely doesn't work. All the lawsuits we're seeing in this community is mind-blowing. I mean, when I say this community, it's pretty vast, because we have, you know, the consciousness sort of human potential aspect of it. Then we have the exopolitical, ufology, and sometimes, you know, those two mix. But there is a lot of division, and that, I think, is the biggest priority to recognize is what's being targeted. So we can talk about information till we're blue in the face and try and wake people up to hidden information. But if we don't have integrity, if we're not seeking unity consciousness, if we're not doing inner work and working on ourselves and the way we come across to others, we're really not doing the work that's most necessary in these times.
Absolutely. Truth bomb. I love that, because there's so much, sometimes we could feel the pressure of always wanting to be positive and always wanting to be this. But in all of that, that's truly a form of spiritual bypassing when we're not digging into ourselves and finding out what's going on so that we can bring it forth and heal it. And the things in the community that are coming up are just the same. They're coming up to be seen, accepted, or, you know what I mean, brought into ourselves and out. And so I guess I didn't really have a question there. Mm-hmm.
No, but it's a good point. Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, we need to function as a family. So we know that many people were raised in dysfunctional families. There's not been a whole lot of strong modeling or leadership or things that people can look to and say, oh, that's something to strive for. I mean, we might look at like the avatars, like, you know, the Christ energy or people, you know, in our history that have stood up and, you know, either on a spiritual level or, you know, something in the face of, you know, corrupt governmental systems. But when it comes to just behavior patterns, it's amazing how much people are caught in the conditioning, the programming, and they're sort of mirroring what they've gone through, and they're acting out their wounds. They're so afraid of admitting that they're wounded that they have all these personality masks to hide, you know, a wound, really. So more transparency and more ability to reach that and remove the shame and judgment from it. I mean, we all were born into some level of, you know, a wound just being on this earth. I mean, this earth in and of itself and what's happened on the earth is something that we all pick up on just coming in. You know, we could have the happiest childhood and not really fully escape the injustices, the harm that's been inflicted upon humanity, the division, the injustices, and the toxicity in the environment and the way the earth has been treated so poorly. So, I mean, it's impossible to not be affected no matter how we were raised. So, if people could put more attention on being willing to just heal and overcome and be more transparent and vulnerable, you know, we could, you know, walk together with greater compassion and understanding.
Absolutely. That's why we're here, though. You know, we're here to experience the density and to transmute it. You know, that's part of our journey. So, of course, recognizing that others are going through their own journey of having to face their, you know, their traumas, their wounds, whatever, and learn to overcome them, you know, integrate those parts of themselves, but also be able to appreciate how everybody has their own experiences. You know, I think it's so important that, you know, instead of just trying to say, well, this is my opinion and this is what I believe and this is what I choose, and if you don't, then we can't be friends. You know, we're past that point in humanity now. That's what we were fed so long, that if somebody doesn't agree with you, you know, you just move on. But how about we just accept that everybody can have their own, you know, opinions, point of views, experiences, whatever, and allow that, you know. Exactly. This is the point where we need to really transmute that belief of being in division, right? So,
yep. And we were indoctrinated, and people were really, there's a lot of grooming and indoctrination just in society and culture.
Mm-hmm.
When we look at the way school systems operate or the social dynamic in school systems, it's very cliquey. Yes. There's just so much just amongst young and innocent people that are growing into these roles of, you know, there's bullying, there's sort of the snobbery, there's this group over here, that group over there. And I never really found myself in resonance with that. I had friends with all sorts of people. And that's the thing. We need to accept our differences, because oneness isn't sameness. Oneness is diversity and harmony. We need to be able to blend these energies and work these energies together and respect where other people are at on their path. I mean, it's great to educate people about, here's better sources of food and resources coming from, you know, this is organic, you know, this is what's going on in the animal production industries to watch out for. Here's some resources to learn about, and then do what you will with it, but still have love and respect. I mean, you know, we're overcoming all sorts of things, and we can't expect everybody to be on the same level. So, you know, when somebody feels right about something, when they're self-righteous and arrogant, it's like, that's just as toxic as whatever it is they're trying to enlighten people about. I'm like, wow, that's a really toxic energy. So that's actually energetic pollution. And while they're acting like holier than thou about their habits, they're spewing a lot of darkness and really kind of harming people, actually.
Yeah.
They don't know that person's path. They don't know.
Yeah, no.
They don't know if they had no other choice growing up of their food sources, and they have to go through a big shift. I mean, where's the gentleness? Where's the We got to bring out the mother, father, the divine masculine and feminine here.
I love that.
Yes, so many people grew up with the Brady Bunch, and I think my mother always blamed everything on the Brady Bunch. Like that's the way people were supposed to be. So if you weren't in that kind of a family, you felt bad, and if you were in that kind of the family, you're going, "Oh, really?" But I don't know. It's a lot of it's been programmed through television to our age group, and then it's just been kept on through social media. It's all about appearances and not about education and not about really learning about other people beyond just the surface, I think.
Yeah, it's the personality matrix. So when we talk about ascension, the best way for people to understand it in a way that actually can penetrate just our own awareness and what we can personally do to achieve this. We need to move out of the personality matrix. That is the 3D. The 3D is a programming. We're on a multidimensional planet. There are many dimensions beyond, 4, 5D, 6D, all the way, 12 and beyond, connecting into the 0-point unified field, which is the purification energies of spirit that can, shift everything. And that's up to us to reach. It's available. And all these barriers and seals and fences and programmings and all that kind of stuff separates. So what people have been locked into is the personality matrix. Our self-worth has been manipulated. And we've been taught that to love ourselves, we have to achieve this and be this. And of course, the teaching of that is dependent on the culture or society. But we're not really operating from self-love based on our own values or worth. It's very much what somebody else has taught us. And so that's why people struggle with self-esteem, because they're trying to live up to something else. And then the parts of themselves that are the gifts and abilities are the things that have been neglected or mocked or made fun of growing up. So the greatest parts of ourselves we're trying to recover, but we have so many memories of it being like ridiculed or silenced. So, and then we're trying to achieve something that we're not, and our self-worth gets wrapped up in it. And then if we don't achieve it, we feel less than, and it's just ridiculous. So that's the importance of the inner work, is just redefining our reality based on our own internal truth, because that truth frequency is what's going to help us to see through the deceptions and lies out there. But if we don't take that time to cultivate what that truth is for us, then we are externalizing everything and we're not functioning in an authentic way.
Right. Yeah, absolutely.
Wasn't that great? I love all that. Yeah. So we want to be searching for the truth within ourselves and then around us. We want to get down to our authentic selves, and we want to be working and doing things in compassion. And what else would strengthen us as we move forward?
I think humor, not taking everything so seriously. It can get so heavy. I mean, it doesn't mean that everything is funny, and that there's a joke in all of it. But a good portion of it there is. I mean, there is very serious stuff that we need to address, but the solutions are there. People are so afraid of going against the narrative or being able to see, how much manipulation and control there is and how many lives are at stake because of it. And so the resources that are there are largely ignored, but that's changing. I mean, people are rapidly waking up, and it's the ripple effect, because the frequency, attracts other things to match it when it becomes large enough. So, I mean, people are waking up all over the place. But I think, a sense of humor is really important, and prioritizing just health and well-being and good relations with loved ones, really connecting close to the earth. I mean, even if it's just noticing the birds that are flying by or the beautiful flowers, especially in the springtime, and just really just connecting into that organic frequency. I know there's weather weaponry and there's things in the atmosphere connected to, dark technologies, but we are learning to be the override frequency. Once we break the mind control and the personality matrix and all its distortions, our frequency actually neutralizes and can shut down these dark technologies, because we're no longer like in the net. We have moved beyond it. And so our energy is actually what can purify and clear those distortions and actually help others to move out of those traps. If they, are open-minded enough. And that's why in the beginning of the conversation, those tactics don't work. It's like, if you want to inspire somebody, open their heart. So you don't go into deep tissue massage without first warming up the muscles, or else you're going to injure the muscles. So, but yeah, so connection with earth and high vibrational foods and essential oils and just things that will really just help people connect to that organic frequency will help them to process out and clear out where programmings have gotten the best of them, where they've internalized a lot of distress and pain and suffering, because that's what the physical body usually expresses to us when it is sick. Or it has physical symptoms. These are internalized energies we were never able to process. So despite where the coronavirus came from, or whether it's a bioweapon or whatever it is, we have to look at what is the weak point. It's the lungs and the throat. So there's a lot of internalization of grief on the planet because there's so much coming to light about SRA, pedophilia, human trafficking. And I think it's so much for people to process that they're internalizing this. They can't believe it's actually real. But because we need to awaken right now and come to terms with it, I feel like a lot of that energy is being internalized and it's affecting the lungs because the lungs carry grief and also the ability to speak, which is the throat. So despite where it came from, it doesn't matter. What are the weak points that that are making us vulnerable to even getting sick we need to look at too.
Yeah, those are such valid
it's
points.
a way of shifting your focus and shifting your just your way of looking at things too. I think just turning things a little bit sideways to look at them at a different perspective so you can handle them better. So not taking the worst case scenario of everything and just sort of understanding it more. Like I was thinking about the masks. Everybody was so upset about wearing the masks, but the good side of wearing a mask is you can't be identified on CTV TV. So if you're going out and I'm just thinking that. Like I just thought, well, yeah, if you put a mask on, nobody can follow you around. And they're everywhere, right? The CTVs. So I'm thinking, well, isn't that interesting? So it's sort of it's another way of thinking about the masks.
Well, that's
it
the
feels
alchemy.
like such a
Right.
yeah. That's right. Turning something into something better. So just by finding the bright side or the silver lining of everything. And that's
beyond duality.
Around.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Duality is black and white.
Yeah.
Right or wrong. And that's what I think when I look at like chemtrails in the sky. I'm over it making me angry. It's like I let it remind me that we're way more powerful than we can imagine and that they're doing everything they can to shut us down. So in that reminder, I'm going to let that be a tool for me being even stronger instead of victimized by it. So I agree. Like we need to flip around the things that feel like an attack, feel like some sort of weaponry. We don't want to be in the victim mentality, and we also don't want to be in fear. And so empowering perspectives are hugely important. I didn't mean to cut you off.
That's delay. No, that's perfect. That's what I was trying to say and couldn't get it out properly. But that's I always find that if you can find the bright side and turn it up, you turned up the vibe, right?
Yeah.
So, silver lining. Yeah. And there always is. There's always change, and sometimes it's change for the good, sometimes it's change for the bad, but there's always change, because without change we don't grow or nothing goes forward. So that's no matter how we're going to change, it's going to change. This too shall pass is what they always say. So that's what I keep reminding everybody.
Yeah, and anything that appears, I think anything that appears to be bad sometimes too is an attachment we're not ready to let go of, and we hold on for dear life. And the whole idea of it like being gone or losing it, it feels like the worst misfortune or something terrible, but nothing ever really dies, so things have to transition and change form to be in that flow of universal law, cosmic and natural law, which is always about change, but it's always upgrading, it's always healing things. It's encoded to do that. Even though there's a creation and destruction factor, it is attempting to upgrade. Just like as we grow and evolve, we gain more wisdom with experience. But some people choose to not gain the wisdom. They can be very sour and bitter at some of the harshness and adversities they've gone through. But, it's like somebody holding on to a heartbreak because they don't believe they could ever love again. Mm-hmm. But then they're delaying their ability to connect with somebody that might be, the ultimate partner. So people are letting go of an old world that was never, ever healthy, but they're so unfamiliar with the what's possible that it's just daunting and it's mysterious and it's easy to be played and thrown into fear because we're embracing a big mystery that they're leveraging for control. So if we, recognize that all these changes are taking us to a better world, that concept of bad or misfortune can transmute as well, just like you were saying about the mask, the perspective. Because people do think in terms of good, bad. Mm-hmm. And yes, it is bad when we visually see something suffering, when we lose a loved one. I mean, yes, there's no doubt. But eventually, once it works itself into the larger picture, that's what a butterfly emerging up from a cocoon is. Yes, to be trapped in this thing for God knows how long doesn't feel so great. But if we forget the bigger picture, then we never feel inspired about the fact that eventually, the butterfly emerges from that space.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's, especially right now with everything that's coming up for the collective is like fear of death, fear of losing freedom, and then fear of the unknown. Those are three really core fears that we're, instilled with at a very early age. So for us to be able to look at these things and recognize how at a soul level, there's no fear about anything. We're entertaining these only in the 3D physical realm when in truth and actuality, they don't exist. So this battle for control has to do with this fear that we're being fed and, it's coming at us from every direction. And when we give it attention, we're feeding it, we're allowing it, we're contributing to it, right? So when we take back our power and step out of that fear, out of that, having those conversations about it, saying, okay, this is something that could happen, but it's not something I'm going to entertain at this point. I'm choosing to focus on, being healthy. How can I feed my body? How can I feed my soul? How can I feed my mind with the things that I want to support, the things I want to experience, respecting others, but also being able to mostly respect yourself enough to be able to choose where you put your energy, put your attention. I think that's so, so important right now, and stop giving all of our energy over to, what's the next thing that's going to happen? What's coming next, right? Because we don't know. We honestly don't know.
Yeah. Well, the fear of death is a funny one. Sometimes I feel like maybe people fear it because they don't feel like they've done their mission. They haven't answered to their inner calling. There's something that they haven't quite achieved. And so the thought of an ending, there's sort of this, what I haven't done the necessary things. I haven't made peace with this person in my life or this and that. So I just encourage people, and I totally agree with everything you said, to let yourself have a bit of a life review. I've had so many life reviews that I feel like if I died, I'm totally fine with it. I don't want to. I mean, I'm not looking for that. I mean, there was a point where there was like terrible turbulence on the plane. And sometimes I was like, okay, fine. Plane's going to crash. Whereas before I was like, oh my God. So going into that zone of really, I mean, it pushes one into the inner work. So the inner work can be something that we consciously sit with and do, but sometimes it's thrust upon us. Maybe we're in a close to death situation. Maybe something is being threatened in our life. And this is what's happening on the planet. There's a lot being threatened in our life. But can we look at that as an opportunity to have a life review, to look at ourselves? Are there relationships that we need to mend? Are there people we need to apologize to? Are there people we need to forgive? Are there things that we didn't do because we are afraid of what others would think that we can do now? I mean, I know a lot of people are like, I'm done with this job. I don't even want to go back to it. I want to do what I really feel called to do. Yeah. And that's what I love about, working with clients and subscribers is helping launch their true passion and purpose. And in this transition time, the fears people are facing can actually be a reunion and a breakthrough. So the fears can serve a person for a certain amount of time to help open doorways rather than crush them and keep them small and keep them controlled and limited. So I've definitely noticed fear can have its moments to propel us in a good direction if we give it the chance. Some of these microphones all crazy.
Yeah, I hear that. Let's see. We'll just
Yeah, they always try to.
Oh,
yeah.
There we go.
All right.
Yeah, hold on. Let me get. Rhonda, it was your microphone that was all staticky. I'm not sure why.
So I just hope people can embrace fear and just be like, wow, okay, this is a huge opportunity to do something huge with this like this energy of anxiety or fear. Right. To me, it's an incredible catalyst if we can use it correctly. All those emotions or feelings that others would say are negative, can absolutely serve us if we use them correctly, if we utilize them correctly. They don't need to last very long. But if we make decisions from fear, if we live in it and it's a consistent thing, I mean, that is going to make us more ill than anything, because our body gets sick when our consciousness is not grounded and anchored within the vessel. We can't have this back and forth or contradictory life of, living in a kind of lifestyle that's not in agreement to our higher self or our greater calling. So that's the integration of polarity that's most necessary on the planet right now, that people don't compromise themselves anymore. And the money thing is the big control. It's like, oh, well, you won't get a paycheck then. And people are scared, like, okay, well, how will I put a roof over my head? So if we could come together more as a community, not have these battles amongst each other, and really build healing centers and safety places and gather funds to help people with these transitions, then they'll feel safer in stepping out of something that is very harmful to them in the long run, and that doesn't really serve anybody or the planet. So these fears can I think is a prerequisite to some people's awakening.
Yeah.
If they can look in the right direction, it'll be the best thing that ever happened to them. But the problem is the medical industry and everything out there leverages it and takes advantage of it. And it just digs the hole even bigger and further into disconnect from self, disconnect from others, and ignoring the symptoms because it's just being medicated or masked, and we're not getting to the root. Right. I mean, our history books have been rewritten. We don't know our true galactic history. We don't know the roots of why the world is the way it is today and what made the cabal and the deep state. We don't know any of that. So we're just like, what? And so there's so much internalized stuff, because deep down in our intuition, we know, in our higher self, we know, but we're dragging around this human vessel with an ego trying to just survive and make it in the world. And so, yeah, the fears can be an incredible breakthrough. I mean, that's how athletes and warriors and people who do amazing things in the world, they have fear, but they conquer it. They look at that as an opportunity, not something to walk the other way and say, okay, somebody else do it for me. I can't do this. Somebody else make decisions for me. I can't think straight, right? Yeah. So this is going to test people's strength and ability to make those choices. And that's why it's so important people like us come together and hold a space of, sacred space for people to be able to work through stuff. And where we see the battles in the community, absolutely, I'm not in agreement to whatsoever.
No. Absolutely not. We're going to come into this more and more with the to vaccine or not to vaccine. There's some people who are really going to feel strongly about it, and those who are going to fight it every step of the way. And it's about respecting both sides. Do what's right for you, period. Don't worry about what somebody else is going to do, because you're doing what's right for you. I
agree. As long as, if we have choice, everything's fine. People will make their choices. So
yeah, absolutely.
If somebody wants to vaccinate their kid, fine. But if somebody doesn't, they shouldn't be made to do that. And that's about it. It's like that's what needs, protection more than anything else. Trying to convince everybody to think in a certain way is going to waste our time and be very draining and create more trouble than it's worth.
Hello, depression and anxiety, right? That's exactly why we have it right now, because so many people have been living a life that they're not in alignment with, being forced to do things out of peer pressure, societal pressure, whatever it is. Choosing to do, I have to get married, I have to have kids, I have to work this job, I have to do all these things. And it's like, no, you don't have to do anything. You get to choose. Even if your parents have instilled this in you, you get to break free of all the paradigms you have been instilled with and choose whatever feels right for you. And that's what we're coming to, that tipping point now of people saying, I'm done with what I've been told. I'm done with what I've been, forced to do, or what I've been conditioned with. I get to choose what I want to believe, what I don't want to believe. And that's what we're fighting for. That's what
it's really back to our own sovereignty, which I remember, Laura, you had some really good videos, and that one I totally loved about I do not consent. And that totally I've put into my life now.
Nice. Yeah, I didn't. Yeah, that was very spontaneous. I was like,
needed, very needed.
Oh, thanks.
You were going to share some of either your mantra, or I think some of the things that you were going to share with us, maybe something meditation or something like that. Today you said you might want to just maybe on that note we should kind of go into that.
Sure. I wouldn't say I'm the best at walking people into a guided meditation, but I do like to share like invocations and things that are just like bold statements. And I wasn't able to really, I have one that I just think is excellent, and it's from a woman named Maria Bethencourt. I don't know if you guys have heard of her. So I would love to have had one that I created myself. Everything is just back to back, and I didn't have my computer for a while, but this is, I think, very worth people connecting into. And as you know, maybe I read the words, people can make those words their own and change them in a way that serves them and is in alignment with them. How does that sound?
Perfect.
Yes.
Sounds good. Sounds perfect.
Okay, so this is the invocation and sovereignty prayer. Okay, so I release all 3D illusions pertaining to separation and fully disconnect all my energy from all lower vibrational timelines, matrices, realities, and grids, as I no longer wish to be connected to them. I release them in full love and understanding, grateful for the beautiful experience of dissension, separation, and forgetting. I open my heart fully and fearlessly as I anchor to higher dimensional timelines to continue my spiritual evolution. I cancel all contracts and/or agreements that I have made with any entity, guide, or being in this timeline and in all timelines and realities and dimensions across all that is, that are not for the highest good of all and in alignment with my soul's purpose in this now. I release all my false twin contracts and illusions and align fully with my divine partner to anchor into the grids the essence of Hieros Gamos, my divine marriage. I do this joyfully, releasing all outcome. I call forth and fully into alignment all my soul family, ray families, and rainbow family members as per divine galactic contracts made to assist in anchoring infinite timelines of expansion and creation with no interference as per the law of guardians and the law of one. I release all my spiritual team that has assisted me up until this now, and my deepest gratitude and unconditional love. In the purity of my heart, I ask for volunteers to join me in my heart, connected to Source, as I build a team to assist me in this next phase of my soul's mission and purpose. I'm in the deepest gratitude as they have chosen by their free will to walk in service for the highest good of all with me. I set my spiritual boundaries, none across all that is may interfere as I fully step into my light in service to the law of one by choice. I terminate all false matrices and illusions that are keeping this aspect of myself in this now from fully stepping into my light and aligning with my soul's passion, mission, and purpose to assist in the shifting of consciousness of this magnificent earth. I came here by choice, and I fully understand this. I release all implants and interference across all that is known and unknown, which has interfered with my sovereign birthright to free will, as per the divine blueprint creation laws which govern this universe. This is irrevocable and permanent in all that is. I call upon my family to assist me as I walk in service. Anything left out of this invocation is covered by the purity of this prayer, in which I set forth my most innocent intentions as I remember who I am and fully step into my light. I call forth all aspects of myself from across all timelines, dimensions, and realms to unify here in this now as I choose, by the right of free will, to walk in the heart of service for the greatest good of all on this planet. I completely heal and seal all aspects of myself, known and unknown, from any further intrusions, as I'm a sacred incarnate vessel of the source of all that is. I, in the purity of my heart, for the greatest good of all, ask this invocation cover all that is known and unknown by this aspect of myself, erasing all possible loopholes and hidden interference agendas and making them null and void. I release all not for my highest good as I step fully into my light. I ask for all to occur with ease and grace as I fully understand that this is my sacred birthright to live in joy and peace. Anything I've missed, I ask for it to be covered and understood. This is from the Arcturians by Maria Bethencourt.
I love that.
Yes.
And on my website, if anybody wants to read it and just have it.
Yes, I do. I start my day off reading a whole stack of, I use pretty colored index cards, the large size. And I write all these things because after the night and everything I've gone through, you know, I wake up and I want to read things like that to remember who I am, to remember my sovereignty and the choices that I make and how they matter. So thank you for sharing that with us. I totally love it.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
That was awesome.
That was
And
I'd love
so
to share that with you.
you're starting a new show even with what's his name? David?
Yes. Called Dark to Light with David Rodriguez, and it's going to be interactive. and really just help people through these challenging times. People are in their maybe a dark night of the soul journey that is bigger than they're used to. Maybe, I mean, they're struggling with addiction or feeling suicidal, or they're losing their job, or they're going through a breakup, or struggling with, PTSD. And so, something more interactive, because as we were talking about in the beginning of the show, I mean, it can't just be about the information. We need to support and nurture each other's growth. We need to walk hand in hand without judgment. So it's geared towards that, to just really be of a support. We've both gone through a lot, and we found a lot of likeness and similarity, and in what our intention is, and how we're trying to reach people, and really connect the hearts of people, and to move away the shame, and to recover from what we've gone through, in each in our own way, but as a collective as well. So that will be premiering soon. You can find the intro on my YouTube channel, Laura Eisenhower, and it should be bi-weekly, and we'll have, a website and a way to write and call in. So it'll be cool.
Awesome.
Oh, yeah.
That's
really
exciting.
That would be fun.
Very awesome. Yeah,
So
all your
is-
links are in the beginning of this video,
Yeah.
so everybody can just switch over. There's a YouTube link in there too for Laura.
Yes, I'm going to update it, and I will be putting that YouTube channel on my website. And yeah, and there's a lot of stuff coming up. I've got a 2-hour online presentation at the end of the month, May 31st, with Forbidden Knowledge TV.
All right.
And it's a 3 or 4 day thing with a bunch of speakers, and I'll put that on my site, and some cool stuff like that, workshops coming up. So, even though we can't travel and meet at events, it's great to be able to do it online. So, check it out. I will definitely update my website today.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm excited about all that. Yes.
Very
Oh,
cool.
thank
The
you.
ease of technology, right? There's the flip side. Technology
Yes.
is bad and technology is good. So
It's
here's
all
the
helps
flip
you.
side. Good. We can
Yep.
connect with everyone all across the planet, and I think maybe that wasn't in their plans, but that's what's happened. So, and using it as a force for good will always negate the bad of it. So,
Oh, absolutely. I mean,
without
it's definitely. That's the
Awesome.
thing.
I mean,
That's
we
the
have
thing.
more time in this to be more connected. That's the thing that this
Right.
isolation has given us, more connected, because we have more time to be connected.
That's what I was
Yeah.
going to ask too, is like, if you had one top way to recommend to our audience how to really step into being connected, what would you recommend?
Oh gosh. I think one of the most bonding thing is to be supportive of people who are really, really struggling, and to just lend a hand. Generosity is important. Also, of course, having boundaries as well, but really just listening to each other and helping each other to be the best of themselves. I think there's all sorts of things just with the online part. A lot of communities and areas are not so much in the lockdown anymore either. And I think, it's good to maybe reset how we relate to community. It's like we got it pulled away from us. Now when we come back into it, what can we do different than before? And maybe what things can somebody create that nobody else has done in your local area? I mean, there's all sorts of things that one can create. So taking on more of a leadership role, I think, builds community and connectivity. Is to say, well, I wish somebody would do this. Then it's like, well, why don't you do it then? I get a lot of people saying stuff. Oh, I just wish if we had this in our area. And I'm like, well, maybe that's for you to, be the one that starts
It's time.
or creates that. Yeah. And I was thinking also it would be a great idea for there to be a big platform where well-versed tech people could help those launch businesses and make things happen if they don't have the tech knowledge, because a lot of people feel very limited. They want to do something, but they don't have the technological skills, or they might not have the resources. So these kind of platforms are hubs where people can go to begin to be able to implement this, and instead of just dream it and envision it, because most people are holding on to some sort of vision and dream that they'd like to see happen. So making it happen is the next step. So there's all sorts of things that we can do to support one another and to bring those things to life. And that connectivity, it's going to appease the souls of so many that are just going to say, thank you so much. Wow. And I'm doing this now. And I've dreamt that this would be something I could contribute. Then we all start start these greater conversations, and the dots connect. And then all of a sudden, we're working on maybe purchasing land and having, community gardens and having healing centers in the areas that we live in. But we all have to work together, and people need to get to know each other more in their local, area. And then, of course, with the internet, we can reach the whole world and inspire people to do the same sort of things.
I love that. Awesome answer.
Yes, I do. Yes, I love that. So how about that rock and roll question?
Rock and roll. All right. So if you had to choose a song to be the theme song of your life, what would it be?
Okay. The theme of my life?
Theme song of your life. It can be your life right now.
Oh, gosh. Well, Battle of Evermore by Led Zeppelin was that for a while.
I love that one.
Just bringing the balance back and just all the stuff relating to those Avalon. And so I'll just leave it at that, or else I'll just be sitting here like pondering. Yeah.
Oh, I love that song.
What's
The meaning
that?
of life through song.
I love it. That's
a good song.
perfect.
Yeah, good choice. Awesome. Thank you so much for hanging out. This has been an awesome show today, and we appreciate you so much for all the work you're doing and how you show up for humanity every single day, no matter what's coming at you. You are crazy busy, so we are so honored. Absolutely. We appreciate you, and we love what you're bringing through. So
Thank you so much.
for that.
Thank you. I appreciate all of you so much. It's been such a joy to be with all of you, and I look forward to staying, connected in what might come, in the future with all of us. So thank you. I love you all. It's been wonderful to be here.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. So I think I just have a couple of quick announcements, and that is going to be the winner of last week's Share It Out, who won a reading with Teresa, is Maren Thompson. So congratulations, Maren. Teresa will reach out to you and let you know when that's going to be set up. And whoever shares out this week the most wins with Rhonda. So make sure you guys share it out, because you will get a healing through your record session with Rhonda, which is amazing. And then we also have this awesome new thing that we're doing next Saturday. We're inviting all Reiki level 1
And above.
and above and higher to join our first ever online Reiki share through your Akashic Records free event. We'll be sending healing to each other and to the world. And if you want to message us here at Spirit Sessions or directly to Rhonda for the Zoom link, it'll be awesome. Teresa and Rhonda and I will all be there, and Emily Harrison will be there. It's going to be so much fun to hang out and just heal. It's going to be such good energy. I'm excited.
Woo.
And the more of us, the bigger it gets. So it just
Exactly.
magnifies the energy.
We have room for up to
yeah.
100 people, so don't be shy.
Don't be shy. Private
Let's
message
do
any of
this.
us, and
Yes,
we'll all have
Chris,
to-
let's do this.
Yeah.
So it'll be fun. And if you know us, or you just know our show, or you're just fans, private messages, we can get together and do this. Like I said, we're going to send it to each other and to the world, because we heal each other, we heal the world, and then we can send it out to the world.
Absolutely.
So,
And it's an awesome way to
great.
connect. So yeah.
Yes. So Chris, you are working on your level 1, so come on in. Yeah, everybody's done it.
She's done. Yeah.
So yeah,
We're
next
gonna-
Saturday.
I'll take everybody into the Akashic Records for the healing, and then we're going to work on it there.
Yeah,
So,
Saturday at
okay.
12 p.m. Eastern. So same time as today's
Yes.
show, but next
And
Saturday.
I want to acknowledge my 2 new graduates, Teresa Warren and Bex Marie, level 1 Reiki students. Thank you so much for being on my
Thank
level
you.
1 for your Akashic Records. It's so great. So thanks everyone for joining us today. And
Thank you.
Have a beautiful week.
Namaste.